difficult, highly competitive tour in the world. I saw my future there, and I took the gamble, and I wound up having a 5-foot putt of the last hole, and I made it. And it was a huge, it was a pressure-packed moment, but I think because of the fact that I was aware, like we talked before, I'd made all the decisions, I weighed them all up, and it was the right decision to do. And so I was prepared that even if I failed, I would get there eventually. But you know, it's just that belief. Yeah.
Huge moment for you.
Yeah.
When was it that you ended up doing something like this? Put all your eggs in one basket and say, I am betting on this.
Probably not the best thing to do as a businessman.
I know. But I'm sure there are times when you have to take that risk. That separates you from the men, you know, the men and the boys.
Once or twice when actually selecting a new model, you are actually taking a huge risk when you are
Give us examples, because it's all happened.
Yes. The Splendor, for us, it's a huge thing which has happened to Hero Honda. And when we were actually selecting the model, you really had to put everything into it, because we had a CD100 which was a phenomenal success for Hero Honda, and which changed the scene of motorcycling in the country. And then we were coming up with this new model, and we knew that CD100 had a long life, and we had to move to something which could become even bigger than CD100.
When we were still hearing about golf, and it was sort of a faint term that would just come along, a couple of snippets in the papers, where did you get all your access? Did you have to pick up all those foreign magazines that you could get your hands on, or?
We, Golf Digest, golf magazines, was basically my only access through what was happening in the world of golf.
Did you have to do international subscription or pay extra at one of these stores to get it?
At the stalls. I think my uncle had a subscription with one of the magazines, but you know, being India at that time, it would come 3 or 4 months after its original issue, so it was always very late news. But to me, it was still current, because it had just, for me, it just happened, because that was the only way I actually found out who was winning tournaments, and I would read every single page. I still have a lot of those magazines back at home at the house. But you can only achieve those goals by trying to do the absolute best that you can, and then reassessing afterward. You just can't achieve a goal and then you get there, and if you get there too easily, then what do you do? You know?
I know. Mr. Munjal faces that. There's competition bumping him off every time, and then he's bumping them off every time. So that has to be on the spot. Okay, we're just going to catch you up ahead on another green. So it was the putt that made all the difference in your life, from being a person on this side of the career, being that side, that 5 feet putt.
Yeah.
When you actually just went with him onto the green, what would be your advice if you had a chance to give him one piece of advice on the green? On the green,
putting? Well, obviously once you get, again, assimilate all the pieces of information, the speed of the putt, the break of the putt, the line, how much it's going to fall. Once you make all those decisions, the only thing you really have to focus on then is making a solid strike. Just making sure you hit the ball right in the middle of the putter. It's a very simple stroke, the putting stroke. It only goes about 4 or 5, 6 inches back and 4 or 5, 6 inches through. So the club's not moving more than a foot, so actually hitting the ball solidly is not that difficult. But I see so many amateur golfers actually miss-hit their putts. So even though they might have aimed it correctly or whatever, a little miss-hit of the putt, the ball's going to bubble off the face, and that's enough, because you have to be so precise in your putts. The hole's only 4 bit inches across. So.
But how do you actually, I could ask you as well. Now both of you have completely different putters in terms of the way you look, the technology and etc. How do you guys choose your putters, and do you really change it as per course?
No, this is a very traditional putter actually.
Exactly.
This is the Ping Answer 2, which is probably one of Ping's original model putters. I think the putter, the look and the whatever of the putter is such a personal preference. Technology in golf anyway has come a long way. I think we're almost at the very peak of it. We can't really go much further now. I think the governing bodies of golf will will put their foot down now and not allow any more technological breakthroughs that make the ball go further or straighter. Because we want to keep the challenge of the game of golf the way it is. You know,
Right.
we spoke about it earlier, how difficult the game of golf is. We don't want to take some of the skill that the professional golfer has away from them.
And fewer variables would mean tougher the game and so more challenge. And
Yeah, exactly. And so we need to keep where we are right now with technology as far as the game of golf is. I think we should have reached this limit. Because I think even now we don't curve the ball in the air anywhere near as much as what we used to do in the 80s and the 90s with the softer ball that spun more. This ball that we use nowadays doesn't spin as much, so therefore it curves a lot less in the air.
But besides golf, Daniel, what is it that is your other passion?
Cricket, sports-wise, anyway.
Outside sport. Food.
Outside of sports,
You're an Indian. I mean, by name,
Indian
certainly with the
food,
Chopra,
food,
I can
definitely.
imagine there has to be butter chicken or chicken tikka out
absolutely.
on the
My absolute favorite food is the chicken tikka and the chicken tikka masala with the naan and the rice. And anytime I go for Indian food, my order is almost every time exactly the same. You know, we went to Bukhara yesterday, which is my favorite restaurant in the whole world, which I believe has got to be the best Indian food anywhere in the world.
And like golf, all businesses need the extra spice. So I guess there's that aggression that builds up despite the sun up there.
Absolutely, and the sun is really scorching right now.
Yeah, I know, and that's why we're going to shortly wrap the show. And I would want to do a quick rapid fire with each one of you. And I know you do have restrictions on what all you can talk about. But let me start with Daniel, so you get a close up of him while we do that. Favorite course?
Delhi Golf Club.
Why?
That's where I grew up. You know, every hole is different. Every hole sits on its own. You can't see any other part of the golf course from every hole. It's just every hole seems like its own golf course in its way. And just because of the fact that I learned the game and my memories of playing it and having played it so many times, I'd have to say that as far as a golf course that I look forward to playing, is the only way you can really judge a favorite golf course. I would say Delhi Golf Club.
Favorite shot?
Putting.
Which was your defining moment?
I would say I have a few, but I mean, when I won the World Junior Championship, that was the first step to realizing that I have potential in this game, and then getting my card on the PGA Tour, and then winning my first PGA Tour event.
Best childhood memory outside of golf?
Best childhood memory outside of golf, driving a car far younger age-wise than what I was legally allowed to do.
And not bites. And the one thing that you regret not having done on your way to growing into a professional golfer?
No regrets. I think I've been very fortunate to do what I've been doing, and had I never come to India and lived here, I would never have had the opportunity to live the life that I live now.
Advice to all the big shot CEOs watching you?
Play more golf, relax, you know, take it easy. It's all going to come around, you know. It's all confidence, like we were talking about before, and you know, just trust in the fact that everything comes around. You look at the markets over the years, and nothing's going to go down to zero. It'll all come back, and just take it easy.
Invest in stock markets?
I don't, so I guess I'm fortunate. But yeah, so a lot less gray hairs, and there's enough pressure in the game of golf for me than to have to worry about what the stock market's doing in the papers when we're standing over a 5-foot putt to win a golf tournament. That's
Even if
enough
it grabs
pressure.
the first headline and not on the last page.
Yeah.
Daniel Chopra, thanks very much for being on the show. It's such a
Thanks
pleasure.
for having me. Thank you.
Mr. Munjal, favorite golf moment?
Favorite golf moment? I think taking on the Indian Open, sponsoring the Indian Open. We were sponsoring the Hero Honda Masters, but when the opportunity came to take on the Indian Open, I think that was one of my best golf moments.
Favorite golfer?
That's a tough one. Lots of them actually. There's Tiger Woods, there's Ernie Els, there's Marco Mira, then the Indian golfers, there's Daniel Chopra, there's Jeev, there's Jyoti, lots of them.
You're being politically correct. Okay, let's move next to the business side of it. Toughest moment, right down there in the trough.
Some years ago, after we became India's #1 and then we became world's #1, about 2-3 years ago, we were getting caught on by the #2 and very, very close. The gap became very, very narrow. I think that's the time when we had to really put everything into our basket, all heads together, and thankfully now we are way ahead.
One unfulfilled piece that you haven't done, whether in business or in golf?
Golf, there's lots to do. Still lots to do. I travel a lot, but I haven't really gotten to play golf across the world.
One course where you want to definitely see yourself playing?
Augusta.
How much time are you giving yourself?
I've been going to Augusta for some years now. I'm quite regular there. I'm almost there. I think next April I should be able to.
One final question. Your advice to all the golfers that you play with, and think about the big guys.
Well, I know that like in business, in golf also, when you're playing golf and when you're actually addressing the ball to play a shot, there's so many things going on in your mind. Just make one decision and go right ahead with it. Right or wrong, don't worry. Just go right ahead with it.
That's the business advice to golfers?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much. Good to have you on the show. Thanks.
Thank you.
Great having you.
Okay.